Welcome to the Aging Well Firefighter, the podcast for first responders, our families, and the communities we serve. Whether you're on the front lines or standing with us, I'm here to help you fight wisely and age bravely. I walked up to the counter at the local gas station one day and was greeted by the employee behind the register who suddenly seemed to recognize me and asked whether I was the personal trainer in town. Now, I get that a lot because if somebody doesn't know me, they probably know my wife here in town. And if they know one of us, chances are they at least recognize the other one. So yeah, I told him I was the personal trainer, and it's kind of cool to meet people in fitness in this area because there aren't a lot of personal trainers, and I love making those connections. He asked how business was going for me, and it was going okay. And he went on to say that he was having trouble and struggling to find clients because it's a tough area. And yeah, it kind of is. But he went on to tell me that, yeah, if a client isn't willing to go all in 100% with me, then they're really not worth working with anyway. What? They're not worth working with if they're not willing to go all in 100% all the time with you? I didn't understand that. Now, this guy was sure that the problem with him getting clients in the area was everyone else's lack of commitment. But really what I think it was is his own approach to those clients. He obviously wanted something that they weren't able to give. People have lives. It reminds me of another time when I actually was talking with an owner of a gym out in the Waupun area. And they were struggling. He was a personal training manager of a fitness franchise. He was complaining that their personal training clientele base had been slowly declining, and they were trying to find ways to build it back up. And I came in with a few suggestions. I was interested in working with their gym. I came in with a few suggestions, and one of those suggestions was, hey, you're only doing hour-long sessions. Some people maybe can't commit to an hour long. Why don't you consider offering a half an hour session as an option? And he was absolutely offended that I would even suggest something like that. And he said, and seriously, he told me this: listen, these people hardly work out at all. They should be able to commit to at least an hour every time they come in here. Whoa. Now, I don't disagree that an hour is a good workout time. I mean, most people, admittedly, don't get enough exercise in their lives, and it would be great to see people devoting more time to movement. But the attitude there just, once again, blew me away, that he was complaining that he was struggling to get clients, but at the same time, he was completely unwilling to work with the client. He was insisting that the client bend to him. These two conversations have really struck with me in my business. And it's not because I agree with them. There were some points that I agree with, but really these conversations struck with me because they make me think about and maybe even question what we're really asking of people when we as fitness professionals talk about commitment in fitness. Now, early on, I've been doing personal training since full time since 2011. Early on, in my career, I kept wondering whether I should buy into this hardcore trainer persona, because I saw it everywhere. It seemed like people liked that. And I started to think, maybe I do need to act like, this tough guy in the room, that maybe I need to start insisting that clients match a high intensity program. But the more I worked with real people, and those were the people who came to me, was the real people, because I didn't come into this as somebody who's a gym rat. I came into this as somebody who had been sedentary. I avoided exercise most of my life. I lived an unhealthy lifestyle, and I changed things. I turned things around there, and I decided I really wanted to help people. And that story resonated enough with what I'll call real people that I think I attract that kind of a client. And the more I worked with real people who have real lives and real commitments and deal with stress in their families, stress in their jobs, stress in their regular lives, I realized how unrealistic and honestly how counterproductive that all-in mindset, that you need to commit 100% to this mindset, really is. And to be perfectly honest, I've had some moments in working with people where I felt like maybe I was failing as a coach because my clients weren't all in. They weren't completely invested. They didn't seem like they had been focused on the goals that they originally talked about. And I wondered if, and still sometimes still do, I wondered if I was doing something wrong in these cases, or if maybe it was a problem with them, that they just weren't inspired enough or didn't care enough about what they were doing. And this podcast is based on an article that I just released. If you haven't read it yet, go back and read it, because I want you to read about who I'll call Kristi, and that's not her real name. And I want you to take Kristi from that article, for example. She showed up every single week, but she was never, ever all in. She was always just kind of going through the motions. And for years working with her, I wondered why she kept coming back if she wasn't going to follow a plan outside of our sessions. Because really the only time she ever did anything was when she was with me. That's one way to look at things. What I didn't see at the time, or what I just didn't acknowledge at the time maybe, was, at first at least, that just showing up was a huge win for her. She had a life outside of the gym. She had work, she had family, she had stress. And exercise was a piece of her life, but not the whole puzzle. And that's the way I want people to see it. Oh, that exercise is a piece of our clients' lives. It's not the whole puzzle. And I think the gym rats who constantly come in, and I refer to one in my article, the gym rats who come in and get into fitness, forget that, or just don't realize that. And then there's Paula, who I talked about in my article, who came in one day, and I had what I thought was the perfect workout for her. She was always great. She was always invested in her workouts, but she came in and was just dragging. And she said she just needed to stretch. And it turned out she didn't just need to stretch. She also needed to talk. She needed somebody just to hear her. And if I had insisted on going through my perfect plan, no, let's try this. I've got this really great workout. You'll feel a lot better if you start. If I had insisted on that rather than hearing what she needed, I would have missed out on a chance to actually help her. Now, I'm not a therapist, but Let's be honest. Most people, when they're working out with somebody, wind up unloading mentally and emotionally. And that's very cathartic. If I hadn't let her do that, I would have missed out on a great opportunity with a client. And then in my article, I also talk about Lars. Lars, who was, man, that dude was hardcore. He was special forces initially. He had retired from the military. He was special forces. The dude had a bunch of trauma. And when he worked out, he just needed space to process through all that stuff through movement. And it took me a while to get used to the fact that I wasn't there to push him harder. I wasn't there to talk to him through his workout. I wasn't there to try to constantly coach him to make myself feel like I was being relevant. What he needed was somebody to just be present and supportive the way that he needed. And through those 3 clients, I learned a lot about the different facets people have to their workout lives. And what that really has helped me build over the course of my career, I think, is a lot of empathy. There's a myth among fitness that, it's got to be all in or nothing. No, that's bull, man. That's bull. The truth is, unless you're a fitness trainer who's training a high-level athlete, or unless you are a high-level athlete, expecting 100% commitment is not just unrealistic. It's a recipe for burnout, and it's a recipe for disappointment. Because everyone has things going on in their lives. We all have real lives, myself included. We all wake up some days on the wrong side of the bed. We all wake up some days too tired or stressed. And people don't respond well to demands. You need to do this. You need to be all in. Almost everyone responds better to empathy and flexibility and understanding rather than demands or ultimatums. And yeah, maybe that means that if you've got an aggressive fitness goal, it's going to take you longer to get there. But you know what? It's going to feel more consistent and more sustainable. Real change is going to happen a lot better when people feel supported and not shamed or pressured. Kristi, her breakthrough didn't come from me pushing her harder. It came from me being more patient and more encouraging. The loyalty I had from Paula as a client, sticking with me for a long time, came from me being willing to listen to her, not lecture her and demand that she go through my perfect workouts. And Lars, his progress came from me stepping back, not stepping in. So if you're listening to me today, if you've ever felt like you had to be all in or 100% committed or perfect to start, hey, let that go. Let it go. It sounds trite, it sounds cliche, but honestly, your progress is all about consistency, not about perfection. It's the small steps. It's okay to have off days. It's okay to need support. And it's okay to just show up for a workout or an exercise session or whatever and do what you feel like you can that day. One of my favorite triathletes, his name is Crowy, nickname is Crowy. I read an article that had him interviewed, and he said that his secret is that he starts every workout. He goes in with a plan, but he might completely scrap that plan if he's just not feeling it that day. He starts every workout. it's okay to just show up and do what you feel like you can. That's real life. And just showing up, that's progress. You don't have to be a machine. Just keep moving forward, one small step at a time. Let the rest of it go. Now, if you are a coach or a trainer listening to this podcast, or who has read my article, please keep in mind that your job is not to create perfect clients. Unless you are an elite athletic trainer, unless you're training Olympic athletes, our job as coaches is to create an environment where people feel safe to try, to fail, and to try again. Showing empathy doesn't make you look weaker as a trainer. Empathy is our most powerful tool in helping people, and that's why we do this, right? We do this to help people. If I could go back right now, I would tell myself in the early part of my career, it is not about being the toughest person in the room. It's about being the most adaptable. It's about being present for your clients, and it's about recognizing that your clients are human and helping them see that you are human. Honor that humanity. So, here's my call to action for you all. If you've ever felt pressured to be all in, or had a coach who made you feel like you weren't enough or weren't working hard enough, or that you needed them specifically, I would love to hear your story. Share it with me. And if you're willing, I am more than I would love to. I would love to share it in an article or in a podcast. If you're a trainer listening to this, ask yourself, are you making your exercise, your workouts, something your client can love? Or are you turning it into something that they dread, that they're dragging themselves to? You don't have to be perfect to make progress. You just have to keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Do what you can. And sometimes just showing up is the bravest thing you can do. Until next time, listeners, fight wisely, age bravely.